Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Tristan with Trout Outdoorsman, and today I'm going to be showing you everything you need to know about trout fishing. And if you want to get into trout fishing, this is the video for you. So let's go and get into the video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any videos on the LT Outdoorsman YouTube channel. So like I said, I'm going to be showing you what you need to get into to trout fishing and how you rig some stuff up. But before I do that, I want to give a quick shout out to Josh from the Water Squatters. He showed me how to make these awesome pillow traps for crawfish. His channel and that video will be linked down in the description below if you want to go check it out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on his channel. But yeah, I cannot wait to use these pillow traps. They're so awesome. Thank you again, Josh, for making that video for me. Okay, now I'm going to show you my bait rod. My bait rod I just got not too long ago, actually. This is a Shakespeare Micro Series rod, but this is a 7-foot rod, 2-piece rod, so it's easily traveled with. Paired up with it, I have a Shimano 1000 reel with 4-pound Berkeley Vanish line on here. Berkeley Vanish has got to be like my #1 favorite trout line and panfish line out there. It is so durable and it holds up in all kinds of, if you get it hung up or anything, you can easily get it out. Even with a 4-pound test, I got it hung up on a bush before, because I don't know what I was doing. But I got it out and the line was not frayed or anything, so I have come to love Berkeley Vanish. All of my rods that have fluorocarbon on it are Berkeley Vanish. And yeah, so this combo right here, I put it together, was only $60. You can get yourself a beautiful rod and reel at Walmart, keep that in mind, in Walmart, for $60, and you can go catch a bunch of trout on this rod and reel right here. Now, I'm going to show you what rigs I use for trout, so that way when it's time for you to go fishing, you know what to use, what kind of rigs and what kind of bait to use, and we are going to be showing you what kind of bait to use in this video. Probably wondering why I need a 7-foot rod for bait for trout is because a lot of people fish with 5'6" rods for bait. Now that's cool and all, you can use that, but I like a longer rod for my bait so I can throw it out there pretty far, get it to where the trout are, and the tip is so light right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. The tip is so light that it'll wiggle right when the trout are out there. So a longer rod is amazing for trout because, you know, 5'6" rod, you can get it out there pretty good distance. But say the trout are a little bit further than your 5'6" rod can reach. You take your 7-foot rod and you get it out there. 5 minutes later, you have a trout in the frying pan. So that's why I like to use a little bit longer rods for my bait. I do use 5'6" rods for my casting setup, which I'll show you here in a minute. Now I'm going to show you how to rig up for bait setup. So the first thing you need is a decent size bullet weight and a swivel with no clip at the end. You see how it has no clip? That's what the swivel that you need. Right now I have the line. What you're going to do is you're going to thread the bullet weight like this. You're going to thread at the head first. Some people like to thread at the back way. I don't do that. I like to have it coming out like this. So when you get it on there, it should look just like that. Now I'm going to tie the swivel on. I'm going to use a simple Palomar knot. I believe that's what it's called. I don't pay attention to things. I just tie the knots. Okay. So here's what you're going to do is you're going to put your middle finger right on the swivel. So then you're going to wrap it around 7 times. Once you get it wrapped around 7 times, you're going to take your tag end, you're going to go through, you're going to take your middle finger out, so now you have a hole right there where the eyelet is. Then you're going to thread it through the actual hole and the eyelet. So it's going to go through 2 eyelets at once, okay? So the hole where your middle finger was and the eyelet of the actual swivel. Then you're going to lubricate it. Then you're going to pull it all together. In the end, you should have a perfect knot just like that. Now, this is what it should look like when your swivel and weight are together tied. That's how it should look. Perfect knot. Now I'm going to show you how to tie a leader on and what hooks I use. Okay, now this part a lot of people do have problems with because there's so much line everywhere. But you're going to take the part of the swivel that has nothing on it. You're going to take your leader material. You're going to do the same knot, like I said. Put your middle finger on the swivel, tie the knot 7 times, put it through the middle finger eyelet and the eyelet of the swivel, lubricate it, like I said, boom, another perfect knot right there for both swivels. Okay, now that you have both lines on either end of the swivel, you're going to take about, I don't know, 4 to 5 feet of leader. Then once you do, you're going to cut it off. Okay, I got my small treble hook right here. Now you're probably wondering why I use such a small treble hook. Due to the fact that trout can be small or big, I want the trout to eat it. I literally want them to eat the hook with the bait on there, so that way I can really hook them. So I use a small hook. Now here comes the hard part, is tying the hook on here. I'm gonna do the exact same knot, but here's the thing: is I'm putting my finger on the hook right there, doing the exact same knot I have been showing you this entire time. There's probably a lot better videos on how to make this knot, but this is how I'm showing you now. Like I said, you're gonna thread it through, boom, just like that. Perfect. See? Now your line is ready with your hook. Look at that perfect knot right there. If the camera will ever focus. Nope, not gonna focus. Okay. Now I'm gonna cut it. My tag in. You want to cut your tag in as close as you can to your line, so that way it has no line showing. So this is perfect. This is how your rig should look in the end right now. You should have your bullet weight and your swivel tied to a 3 to 5 foot leader with your small treble hook, and now you are ready to go fish with some power bait, or you can even use worms or whatever you want. You can use anything you want for trout. Well, not anything you want, but like I said, worms or power bait would work perfect on this setup for trout. The top power baits that I use are the rainbow power bait and the garlic power bait. These are literally the best power baits in the world to mix together. One time it was super slow. A couple years ago, there was nobody catching trout. Like maybe 2 people would pick one off every 3 other hours. So we put this on, and everybody on the dock was catching fish after fish after fish. People were coming over and asking us what we were using, and we were using the rainbow garlic mix. We mixed them together, and we always catch fish with these. If you are getting into trout fishing, I recommend just picking these 2 power baits up. You won't regret these power baits. One more power bait that works really good is the corn power bait just by itself. You can catch all kinds of fish with it, but it doesn't work nearly as much as the rainbow and garlic pair. Just saying. Now on to my spinning setup, which I use for all kinds of lures, spinners, jerkets, whatever, is another Shakespeare micro series. I have had this rod for so long. This is a 5'6" 2-piece rod. It's paired up with a Daiwa Samurai rod, 1500 reel. On it, 6-pound test, Berkeley Vanish. On it I have a black rooster tail. This past year I've come to love rooster tails. I've had a hard time catching trout this year. Hold on, I'm trying to get this back on the island. I've had a hard time catching trout this year, but I hooked so many trout with this rod. I love rooster tails, and I'm going to be showing you a bunch of other spinners that I like to throw on this rod. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to rig up to use a spinner, spoon, or whatever you want to use. First things first, you're going to take a really small barrel swivel. Something that can't go through your eyelets though, because if it goes through your eyelets and you reel up too high, you're going to mess up your rod. So I have a super small barrel swivel here. All I'm going to do, tie the exact same knot I have been telling you guys about all day. Okay? Same knot. Same knot. I actually have a book on knots that I read every once in a while to refresh my memory on knots. But I just go with the same knot every time. Now, once you have your swivel, your barrel swivel tied on, you're going to take your leader here, and I only have about 2 foot of a leader here. I took off the rod earlier. Same clenched knot. If I can do this. I like to use light, I don't like to have a long leader from my swivel to my lure, because, okay, so now the reason I'm using this, probably wondering why I need a swivel if I'm tying on a spinner. Spinners, they turn, they twist, right? Well, I don't want it to twist my line and make my line ball up or anything. So what it's going to do is when it's time to twist, it's going to twist that barrel swivel whichever way it's going, instead of twisting my line and messing my entire line up and having to buy a new line and do everything. Okay, now when you have your leader tied up, you can go ahead and pick out whatever spinner you think works. But if you're going to be fishing at a small pond, creek, or maybe a let's see, a small lake, let's just do a lake or whatever, these little rooster tails work perfectly. I have a bunch, dang it, I have a bunch of different colored rooster tails. The main colors that I always catch fish with are black and white. Black and white are literally the best colors of rooster tails ever. But if you want to see my top 3 favorite lures to use for trout, that'll be linked down in the description below for you to go watch and like. So, I'm going to put on the black rooster tail right now. Let's go ahead and take your leader. The end of the line, you're going to go ahead, like I said, same knot over and over and over. It has worked for me for so long, and I have never broke. Actually, I have broke off on a fish before, but he snapped my entire line. He never stopped the actual knot. So if you break off and your line is all curly cute and whatever, that means your knot failed. That means you didn't tie a right knot. If you break off and it just is straight like this, then your knot didn't break. It was just the actual line. Now you have your small barrel swivel tied to a leader. Now you have your rooster tail ready to go fishing. Actually, not ready just yet. Let me go ahead and take this tag end off really quickly. Now you're ready to fish with only a couple pieces of tackle, 2 rods. You can get out there and catch all kinds of trout and have the greatest day of your life fishing. Another setup that works amazing is a float setup. So I have about 2 foot of a leader tied to just a standard worm hook, and this is what I would use a worm with, is a float. I get the floats with a little weight at the end, so that way I have some weight. And I just got a regular worm hook that I can throw a worm on, and I can throw it out in the float. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth about it, but if you're using a float setup, what I recommend is changing your depth every hour or so that way you can see where the fish are at and what depth they're at, so that way you can fix that float to whatever depth they're at, and that way you're catching fish all day long. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, and if you did like it, do me a favor, please leave a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you're new to the channel, leave a comment down below if this video helped you at all, and I'll see you in the outdoors.